everyone, my name is Emily. Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button because I have lots of fun content coming out for you. Today we are doing some Amazon dupes using products from the Dollar Tree, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to take you guys with me to the Dollar Tree to find all the items that we need. Let's hope, cross our fingers, that they have all the supplies so we can make these DIYs, and then we're going to come back here and make them for a fraction of the cost. So if you're excited, give this video a thumbs up and let's go on in and do a little bit of shopping. So for this first dupe, I am using this oval wood piece from the Dollar Tree as well as 5 dowels. I have 2 thicker ones, and then I took the thinner 3 ones and I cut those down to be a certain size that you'll see here. So I'm gluing the 2 into a triangle shape onto the wooden dowel, and you can use E6000 for this to do a more permanent hold, but the hot glue is faster obviously, and it holds within just a few seconds. So then I'm taking the skinnier dowel and I'm adding that about 1.5 inches from the bottom of the base here, and then I'm taking one a little bit smaller and I'm applying that about 2 inches up above, and then I'm taking one longer diagonal piece. That way I can make an X in the middle, and I ended up cutting the other part of the X into 2 different pieces. That way it wouldn't overlap too much, it would fit in there because these aren't flat, these are round. So just keep that in mind, and you're going to work your way all the way up and do 3 sets of these. So now that spring is coming, they're starting to set out a lot of outdoor decor, and so I picked up this yard sign that has this windmill on it, which I thought was perfect, and so I'm leaving a little bit of a space on here. This was really hard to cut even with my wire cutters, so cut that off, and then I went outside and went ahead and sprayed down the base of the windmill here with black for a nice flawless look. It got every different angle. I added some glue to the upper part, and then taking that V shape that we left on the windmill, I'm gluing that down. You definitely want to use some E6000 if you want that to be a permanent hold. Took a little bit of some black glue, add that to the middle, that way it would match our dupe here, and then I add a little bit of silver and more black onto the base just for a little bit of contrast to it. And the windmill does move, but I think it looks really awesome, and it looks just like the Amazon piece, but only a couple dollars versus $33. For the next Amazon dupe, I am going to be using this bag of wooden beads that you can find at Dollar Tree. There's 3 or 4 different sizes in here, so just pick one size that works for you. Take a very small thin wooden dowel and hot glue that to the edge of the piece of twine. That way it makes your life a little bit easier threading on all of these beads. You can just hot glue the edge of the twine, but having like a little small wooden dowel on there works so much easier. So just add as many beads you need to make the desired length that you're looking for. Once you get your rope the length that you want, tie 2 knots in the very end of each and leave a little bit of string at the end because we're going to need that to apply our tassels here at the very end. Now I will say for this part, I went ahead and sprayed these white because that's all I had, but if you want that oak wood look, you're going to want to use like a cream or ivory spray paint, and I would definitely suggest hanging these up when you spray them because you're going to get a couple marks on them if you don't, the way I did. So learn from my mistake, hang them up, that way you get a nice flawless look. So next I'm going to take some of my twine and I'm going to loop that around my fingers. I have my fingers spread out a bit, so it's about 4 inches or so, and then cut off that twine, wrap it around a couple times, and then tie a knot in it. That way it holds the circle of string together, and then you're going to cut that string in half, and there you have a tassel here. Going to tie that on to the edge of our beads that were painted with the extra little bit of twine. Then I'm going to use my glue and glue that down, and then start wrapping my twine around the top of the tassel, almost making like a beehive shape. That's just what it reminded me of. And wrap that around till you get a nice good layer of that, and then just glue out down the very end after you snip that off. And then again, cut off any extra that you may not need. And this is the way the farmhouse beads turned out, which again, for $2 you can have a really nice decor piece that you can use year round. For this next one, we're going to want 2 fake pieces of fruit. Now for this, I ended up putting a little piece of tape, putting it in a square and putting it at the very bottom of each piece. That way when I spray painted these white, they wouldn't blow off with the spray paint. So it worked great for just a little bit of adhesive to hold them in the place. Get a good layer of white paint on there. You can paint this by hand, but spraying is just a little bit faster. Let those dry. Don't worry about the bottom. We'll get that all covered up. Plus, if they're sitting like this, you won't see that. So next I'm going to go in with my Waverly wax paint. This stuff is a definite must-have. You can pick this up at Walmart for like $2. This is a small little jar of it and it lasts forever. It is so versatile and a little bit goes a long way. I'm not dry brushing this on, but I'm also not lathering this on super thick. A little bit goes a long way, and in this case, less is more for the pieces of fruit here. So just drag it up and down, working upward and downward strokes, and kind of getting a more natural look to your piece of fruit. You are going to get a little bit messy with this project, but it rubs right off. I really love the way this dupe turned out. This is what they look like dried, and I think they look identical to the Amazon ones, and of course they only cost $1 to make. So I really love that one. It's probably my favorite besides this one that we're going to make right now. So for the next Amazon dupe, you're going to want 3 of the thicker wooden dowels, and then you're going to want about 4 or 5 of the skinnier ones, and you're going to make a triangle, and you're going to have that little bit of extra, about an inch, inch and a half on each side and the top. So it kind of looks like a teepee in a sense, and you're going to have that there, and just glue those pieces together. Then you're going to take those smaller dowels and you're going to start making another X inside of that first triangle. Again, they're going to overlap, so just add a little bit of hot glue to each area that the wood piece is going to sit, and you'll just kind of see how I put this all together. I'm looking at the picture that we're duping and it's just looking so good. This is really easy to make and it costs a fraction of what it costs on Amazon. So, and you can always tweak this to fit whatever decor style you want. So if you're doing a certain theme for your kids' room or for your room, you can definitely use the same idea for this, but just change out the extra little pieces that you'll see that we add here in the end. So I went ahead and picked up 3 of these feather decor pieces at Dollar Tree, and I like them on their own. I think they're really cute, but we don't need the bases of these. So you're gonna want 3 for this project, and you're gonna set those to the side. We're gonna come back to those here in a second. I'm gonna use this this iron chain that you can find in the garden section at Dollar Tree, and you're gonna use one of the branches here. It comes with 3, and so we're gonna use one of them. You're just gonna use your wire cutters and kind of pull those apart. That way, because they basically just interlock together. And I ended up doing 7 linked together for 2 of them, and then one of them you're gonna want slightly longer, so I did 9 on the opposite one. So you'll end up taking those, looping them around the bottom of your triangle, and then you're just going to pinch those back together. That way they stay somewhat in place, and then you're gonna hot glue them. If they tend to move on you, just hot glue those in place, 1 on each end and 1 in the middle. Now take your feathers. You can either cut this off, but I suggest just bending it backwards. It was a happy accident for this one. And then you're just going to loop that right through the hook here, and you're going to just add a little bit of glue to hold that in place. Do that for all 3 of them, and then you're going to add a little bit of a chain here at the very top if you want to, or you could just use a string. It's completely up to you, but I was trying to make it look exactly like the Amazon one, so I looped that around and then glued that on. Don't worry about the color difference here. We're going to take care of that in just a second. You're going to want to get some metallic gold spray paint. This stuff is awesome by Rust-Oleum, and a can will last you a very long time. So just spray down the entire thing and let that dry. And this is the way this wall decor piece turned out, and I think it looks fantastic for only a couple dollars versus the Amazon one. Let me know which one is your favorite so far. Now, for the next project, I didn't realize how much I was using these wooden dowels. Sorry about that. Hopefully you have some of these on hand. You can always, if you can't find them at Dollar Tree, you can always pick these up at the grocery store in the baking aisle. So I went ahead and measured mine at 3.5 inches in length, and you're going to want to cut 8 of those at the 3.5 inches, or whatever size you want. If you want this to be bigger, then do that. And you're going to glue a base square first together, using all the same size. So these are all 3.5 right here. And then I cut 4 extra ones at 1 inch longer than the 3.5. So you're gonna have 8 at 3.5 inches and then 4 at 4.5 inches. And you're gonna put the longer ones going upwards because we're making a cube here, if you couldn't tell yet. Basically, you're adding the table legs on, and then you're going to connect that with the 3.5 inch ones on the top here. Now you're going to want to take some spray paint and spray this down because it makes it look much more flawless than painting it by hand. Trust me, I made the mistake of doing this, so don't do that. Just spray paint it, it goes so much faster. Next, I'm taking a cube block that actually has a drawer in it with a flower cut out. At Dollar Tree has ones with butterflies and everything. I showed that to you in the shop with me part. You can see that I just removed the drawer, and I'm basically going to cover this entire thing with the wax to make it look like a wood block. And if you happen to have a wood block, then just use that. This one, I couldn't find them, so I used this, and it worked out really good. And then take the drawer and paint this solid side. That way you don't see the flower. Unless you're into that, go for it. But I wanted it to look just like the picture on Amazon. So once you get that, go ahead and push that all back together. Mine was quite stiff, so I knew it wasn't going to go anywhere. Add a bead of hot glue onto the base of the cube, and then let that tilt, and you're going to glue on the extra edge. Now, if you want it to look exactly like Amazon's, you might want to make your cube a little bit bigger, but this is the way it turned out. Overall, I think it looks pretty good, and it only cost me $2, not 64. So I think it's pretty good. I know it's not exact, but this DIY did not turn out. I tried 2 different ways to make this, and it failed both times. So please don't give up if you try something it doesn't work the first time. You're just going to have to work with it. There's a lot of projects I make that don't always turn out, and that's just part of the fun of doing DIY. I like to show you guys most of all the finished products, but sometimes I think it's good for me to tell you that everything I do try to make doesn't always turn out. I tried another project for this that completely failed, and yeah, it didn't turn out at all. Like, it turned into crumbs of wood, which was horrible. So it happens. So because the first part did not work, I decided to go with a basket for the second part. And it was a little bit bigger than I wanted it to be, especially because my light fixture that I'm duping here does not have handles. So I went ahead and cut off the excess that was on here. And then because I didn't like the jagged edge, which you could totally leave or just do a bead of like a rope and then spray paint it black, it would totally be fine versus doing what I'm doing here. But I went ahead and just matched that up with the pattern and then hot glued the top of the basket back down. That way it would have a nice smooth edge, and it all lined up really well. And then I ended up putting that all together, and then I took the rest of that chain that we had, and we're going to pull that apart just a little bit at the very edge, and you're going to loop that right into the middle of the basket, clamp that down, and then you're going to take these LED press-on lights. You add batteries to them, they do require that. Press it on, and then you have a really cute light fixture. It didn't turn out exactly the way I wanted it to, but you know what, that's okay, we still tried it. So be sure to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Let me know down in the comments which decor piece was your favorite, and any other places that you would like me to do decor dupes on, let me know. I hope you all have an amazing day. Thank you so much for being here. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and I will see you very soon.